Hey guys, Jonathan here. Ravnica just dropped recently, and I was super stoked at all the new mechanics that came in the cards, especially the Surveil. So I went and built a Golgari deck. Most of the cards are older, but there are a couple Surveil cards in there. They're not the main part of the deck, it's just cool to see them interact with it. It's a good way to remove stuff, but I like the deck anyway. It's Golgari Dredge. So here's the cards in the deck. The first four will be Nyxweaver. It's a 3-drop, 2/3 spider with reach. At the beginning of your upkeep, put the top 2 cards of your library in your graveyard. And if you mill a very important card, you can pay 3, exile Nyxweaver, return target card from your graveyard to your hand. We run 4 copies just for the mill. It's super important to have this down turn 3. It's 1, a black and a green. It shouldn't be too hard to get at. Now, some additional mill cards in case those aren't fast enough. We run 1 copy of Grapple with the Past. Put the top 3 cards of your library in your graveyard, then you may return a creature or a land card from your graveyard to your hand. It's super useful if one of our Nyxweavers gets milled and gets killed and we definitely need it back, or even if we do mill it. It's a really nice thing, and then if we need that extra land, it's in there. Then we got the 2 Commune with the Gods. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature or enchantment card from among them into your hand, the rest into your graveyard. If you want to replace it with a card that lets you get a land or a creature, it might be better. We do run 1 enchantment in the deck, and when we get it, it's super sweet. But, you know, we don't have to get it. And then some cards that sort of synergize with the mill. We got 3 Creeping Chill. It just came out. If you have I don't own a 4th one, but if you've got a 4th one, by all means put it in. It's a great card. And then you can take out maybe the Grapple with the Past. But it says it deals 3 damage to each opponent, you gain 3 life, and that's at 4 mana. Or, when it is put into your graveyard from your library, you may exile it. If you do, it deals 3 damage to each opponent, and you gain 3 life. As you can imagine, that's a very good card. It's super duper helpful with all the milling that we're doing, and it just makes things go quicker. I am currently running 1 copy of Grizzly Salvage. It's a 2-drop at instant speed. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature or land card from among them into your hand, and the rest into your graveyard. Now, if you wanted to change the Commune with Gods into Grizzly Salvage, or the Grizzly Salvage into Commune with Gods, they're basically interchangeable. We're just trying to get creatures into the graveyard. Of course, always being able to return a creature or a land that you might need to your hand is always useful. And so it might even be better just putting a Grapple with the Past, although I like the 5 instead of the 3. But it does let you get one from your graveyard, the Grapple with the Past, not just from the 5 that you mill. So it's slightly better in that respect. Then we run 3 copies of Nemesis of Mortals. It's a 6-drop 5/5. It costs 1 less to cast for each creature card in your graveyard. You can pay 9 and give it Monstrosity 5. It costs 1 less to cast for each creature card in your graveyard. So basically, you mill like 4 creatures, you get it on the battlefield, and it's a 5/5. It's great, because it's only 2 mana. If you manage to mill 7 creatures, then you can pay 2, get it on the battlefield, pay an additional 2, and then turn it into a 10/10. And that's just super duper strong. The next card in our deck will be 4 copies of Mr. Troll. His Allotth Troll, black and green. It's a 2/1 with trample. Discard a creature card, put a +1/+1 counter on it. It's really good with that ability because it lets us get creatures out of our hand that we don't want there. And then you can pay black, regenerate it, which is also useful because it makes a great blocker. The next card in the deck, we run 1 copy of Jared Golgari Lynchlord. You could run more. I don't suggest any more than 2, but it's another good card that gets power based on the number of creatures in our graveyard. So it gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. Pay 3, sacrifice another creature. Each opponent loses life equal to the sacrificed creature's power. That ability by itself is super useful, as you can easily make a 10/10, maybe even a 12/12, and just sack it and make everybody else lose the game. It's super duper strong. And then you can sacrifice a swamp and a forest, return it from the graveyard to your hand. So if you need that extra bit of creature and you're not getting it, and you have that extra mana to sacrifice, tap them for mana, just sacrifice it, return them from the graveyard to your hand, and then use the mana to play them again. It's a really strong card. And then we run 4 copies of Night Howler. This is another enchantment creature, as the spider was as well. But it's a 3-drop 0/0, and it has Bestow 4. It and the enchanted creature each get +X/+X, where X is the number of creature cards in all graveyards. So in case you don't understand the Bestow mechanic, instead of casting it for 3, you can cast it for 4 and it becomes an aura enchantment, so you can enchant any creature with it, and then its effect will apply to that creature. So currently giving it +X+X, where X is the number of creature cards in all graveyards, not just yours, your opponent's too. And then, if the creature that is bestowed gets killed, the Night Howler comes back as a creature, making it really strong, even if it's like 1 extra mana to do it. And it's even strong just casting it as 3, because this thing can get big fast. Now, to hit our lands more consistently, we run 2 copies of Charwayfinder. It says when it enters the battlefield, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them in your hand, put the rest into your graveyard. Now, the reason why we run this instead of other mill cards is because it is a creature, making it useful, as if we mill it, it still counts towards our creature total. And I did make a creature-only version of this deck. It was slightly slower, but it still worked, and the creatures got bigger, definitely, but it was harder to cast them. And if you can make it work, like leave me a comment telling me the deck list. I mean, I'd be happy to hear it. I've been wanting to make it into an all-creature deck, but it's been sort of tough. So we run 2 copies of that, and then we run 3 copies of Bron. Bron is the super cool card in our deck. If we mill it, then it's amazing, and if we can discard it with a lot of the troll into the graveyard, as long as we got one in the graveyard, we're set for the entire game. It says it's a 4-drop 3/3 with trample. As long as it's in your graveyard and you control forest, creatures you control have trample. Making our 16/16? No, 16/16 with trample. It's pretty good. And, by itself alone giving our creatures trample, that 5/5 is still great. But, I mean, giving everything else trample, amazing. We run 4 copies of Boneyard Worm. It's a 2-drop, and it's got star, power, and toughness. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard. So that is the thing that generally becomes a 16/16, because you can mill things off super duper quick, 6 cards a turn if you get 3 of the Nyx Weavers down, which has happened before, and the thing just gets big fast. Our 1 of enchantment is Dead Bridge Chant. If you have another one, I suggest another one. I wouldn't put in too many more than that, because we want to keep our things in the graveyard, and it sort of doesn't do that. But it says when it enters the battlefield, you put the top 10 cards of your library into your graveyard. At the game of your upkeep, you choose a card at random from your graveyard. If it's a creature card, it goes onto the battlefield. A great effect. Otherwise, you put it into your hand. So, get back some of your lands, get back some of the other spells in the deck. It's really good. Then we run 2 different kill spells, mainly because I pulled only 2 of the best one. So the better of the 2 kill spells is Price of Fame. A 4-drop instant, costs 2 less to cast. If it targets a legendary creature, destroy that creature, surveil 2. So surveil says you look at the top 2 of your library, you may put them back, or put any number of them into your graveyard. And you can put them back in any order as well. So this is really good, as we're generally going to be milling both of them, even if they're lands, just to get more creatures into our graveyard. The other one is Deadly Visit. It's a 5-drop, destroy target creature, surveil 2. If you can replace the Deadly Visit with Price of Fame, I strongly suggest it, as Price of Fame is way better. Now onto our land base. We run 4 copies of Golgari Guildgate, no more. And the shock lands are a bit expensive for this deck. I'm trying to keep it as budget as possible. It should be about maybe 10 to 20 bucks, maybe 25. So we run 4 copies of Guildgate, and then we run a bunch of swamps. Let me count how many are here real quick. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 swamps. So we run 9 swamps, and then we run 10 forests. So 10 forests, 9 swamps, 4 Guildgate, that's a total of 23 lands. You should only need about 4 in your opening hand to keep. 6 will be enough to play everything in the deck. 5 can be worked around as well. It's not suggested at 5, but you can make it work. I've made it work at 2. I did not have much, but I made it work at 2. So the deck, really flexible on land base. If you want to upgrade it, I suggest Stinkweed Imps, Golgari Grave Trolls. Anything that has Dredge is a great way to upgrade the deck. And then, if you wanted to make it go all creatures, I would include the Dredge cards, maybe splash blue to play Narcomoebas and Prize Amalgams, and then play a couple Reassembling Skeletons if you want to bring back the creatures from your graveyard. If you wanted to go Rakdos and just take out the green, you could throw in the Dredge cards, and then toss in a Flayer of the Hatebound. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield from your graveyard, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature or player. It's a 4/3 with Undying, so I mean it's a great card in and of itself. I think it's like a 5-drop or 6-drop. So if you wanted to go Rakdos, I suggest doing that. You know, there's a lot of different ways to upgrade the deck, a lot of different ways to make the deck yours. This is just a really good thing that I found that worked. It works really well, and it's a super strong, really fast deck. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.